power of the heart. Finding your inner wisdom.
The power of the heart.
Finding the power of the
Finding the
heart.
power of the heart.
The power of
Power
the
of the heart. Power of the heart.
让我们寻回心的力量。The
Power of the heart.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yuru Chao. You are tuning in to The Power of the Heart on Dai Radio. A Malaysian newspaper covers Tzu Chi's recent response to the missing flight from Malaysia Airlines. On March 8th, when this flight went missing, Mr. Lee received a call from Malaysia Airlines at 8 a.m. telling him that Tzu Chi services were needed in Beijing. Soon, Mr. Lee and his team of 15 left the Kuala Lumpur airport to fly to Beijing. It took more than a few hours to just get their visas organized and for their flight to take off, and yet they were able to do that in the same day. Then a second batch of 20 volunteers went later, followed by a third batch, and then another group. They were also helped by about 60 volunteers from Beijing. In the case of this missing flight, Mr. Lee says their task in Beijing was to provide relief to affected families, which they did just by holding or touching the person, listening to them, and letting them cry or shout out their emotion. Most of the time, we don't say anything. We just listen so they can distress and let it all out. If they cry, we give them a tissue and our shoulder to cry on. This is what Mr. Lee said as a Tzu Chi volunteer. He says that some family members were so angry during the first few days, they accused the volunteers of acting and just pretending to be caring. But day in and day out, these families starting to see our volunteers being there. So they have come to accept Tzu Chi volunteer and what they are doing there. And they really appreciate the value of Tzu Chi volunteer. The families are really angry with Malaysian Airlines and the government. They are always shouting during the briefings, but they are not angry with us, the volunteers, Mr. Lee said. 2/3 of the passengers on the missing flight are Chinese nationals. So for Malaysian Airlines staff in Beijing, they are very scared and shocked and under intense pressure from all this anger and emotion being hurled at them by the Chinese families. That's where we try to be the balance and the go-between. We ask the next of kin what they need and refer them back to Malaysian Airlines. So far, Malaysian Airlines has granted whatever they have asked for, and that is the function of Tzu Chi volunteers there. Anytime there's a major announcement, chaos likely broke out among family members who could not handle the news. Volunteers usually rush to be with the family member, but sometimes they couldn't get in because volunteers said, we were told to stay in the bus and then go back to our hotel because the situation there were too intense. There were police cars and media all around. Those who tried to get in also had to leave. And our volunteers said they were advised to stay put in their hotel the next day and were only allowed to return to care for the family the following day. By then, things had cooled down and Tzu Chi volunteers were able to care for the family again. Our volunteer also said that some of the Malaysian Airlines staff in Beijing are so stressed out that they needed acupuncture treatment to de-stress. And that's what we provide to the staff to help them in their hard job. As for the Tzu Chi volunteers, they have coping mechanism. Like this is what a volunteer said, one of our fundamental philosophy is that suffering is common and a natural thing, and it is also part of life. So when we listen to families' grief and pain, we know how to balance our stress and then distress ourselves. Generally, every night after returning to the hotel, the volunteers gather together and share their experience. After spending almost 3 weeks in Beijing, Mr. Lee fly back to Kuala Lumpur. He is now preparing another 100 or so Tzu Chi volunteers to be ready to go to Australia or Beijing, wherever they are needed, to continue their assistance in this case. Mr. Li describes the Beijing experience as quite tiring. Day after day, hour after hour, the family members are always scolding Malaysian airline and the government. They are always shouting and asking the same question and making the same scolding arguments. So you see, Tzu Chi volunteers do what they have to do in these hardship conditions. And what does it mean to walk the Bodhisattva path? It is exactly in everything Tzu Chi volunteers did. Learning to be a Bodhisattva means nurturing the spirit of the four immeasurable: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. This is the spirit of selfless love. With the heart of loving kindness, Tzu Chi volunteers learn to reach out to total strangers and help them in their urgent need. In our program today, we'll begin with a reading of Dharma Master Zheng Yan's teaching on the self-challenges of a Bodhisattva. This reading is provided by Dharma Master Zheling. Then, after a short break, we'll discuss this teaching with Miss Elaine Lu.
Let us pray for peace in our land. Keep our hearts from sorrows and pain. Bless us all with joy and hope. Love and care for each one in this world. Let us pray for peace in our land. Keep our hearts from sorrows and pain. Bless us all with joy and hope. Love and care for each one in this world.
Dai Radio is just a click away. You can listen to Dai Radio anywhere in the world.
The Power of the Heart, Part 3, Walking the Bodhisattva Path of Tzu Chi. Today, we will be listening to the teaching on the self-challenges of a Bodhisattva. Learning to be a Bodhisattva means nurturing the spirit of the four immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. This is the spirit of selfless love. It is something each and every one of us can be capable of, but to develop this spirit, we will need to cultivate ourselves. The first of the four immeasurables is loving kindness, and when we make vows to serve as a bodhisattva to relieve suffering, we are doing so in the spirit of loving kindness. Loving kindness is the heart of working for the benefit and well-being of all living beings. With such a heart, we learn to reach out to total strangers and help them in their need. We learn to pray for the well-being of all people. We also learn to actively do good deeds. As we do this, our loving kindness grows. When challenges appear and make our work difficult, if our loving kindness is strong enough, it can sustain us. By keeping the welfare of living beings always in our hearts, we won't get discouraged in the bodhisattva work. Strengthening our vows and deepening our loving kindness is therefore very important. The second of the 4 immeasurables is compassion. Compassion is about feeling for the suffering of others and working to help relieve the suffering. To cultivate compassion, we need to develop empathy and tolerance. This means putting ourselves in others' shoes to feel what they are experiencing. We can easily do this for our family members. When our loved ones are in trouble, we very naturally try to do all we can to help them. Their suffering is our suffering. When helping the poor, the ill, or others in hardship, we need to have the same heart. We need to feel their pain and suffering just as if they were our loved ones. By taking their pain and suffering into our hearts, we develop empathy. To carry out acts of compassion, we also need to nurture tolerance. This is because to help others, we need other people to join us in the work. We cannot do it alone. Yet, when working with others, all sorts of issues will arise because everyone has different personalities, views, and opinions. Some people are very difficult to work with. How can we work together with them to accomplish the work? This is why we need to develop tolerance. When someone raises their voice to us, for example, instead of getting angry, we can learn to perceive it in a positive way. We can think, he's speaking loudly to me because he's concerned that I might not catch what he's saying. It takes a lot of energy to talk, and he's willing to expend energy talking to me. This is something to be grateful for. By being understanding, we broaden our heart and become more accepting. When someone has an attitude and is unfriendly to us, it seems this way because they don't have a smile on their face. Instead of holding it against them, we can give them a smile. Doing so, we form good affinities with them and may even encourage them to give us a smile also. Forming good affinities is very important because to help people in need, we will need many people to work with us and join our cause. We need to be loving and compassionate so that we can form good affinities with as many people as possible. The third of the 4 immeasurables that we need to develop is joy. A heart of joy is very important as we learn to serve as a bodhisattva. In our work, we will encounter people with bad attitudes or bad habits. We shouldn't lose our aspiration to serve and become afflicted or angry due to the behavior of just 1 or 2 persons. We need to keep cheerful and learn to interact and deal with all kinds of people in a joyful way. Moreover, there are bound to be challenges as we walk the bodhisattva path and try to accomplish a good cause. We should expect challenges and be ready to tackle them. Overcoming difficulties is part of our spiritual cultivation, so let us learn to face these challenges with joy. Walking the bodhisattva path, everyone we encounter is like a living sutra for us to learn. Some people will give us an easy lesson, while others will give us a hard one. No matter what kind of lessons they give us, they will help us grow in wisdom life. If we can always remember this, we can accept the challenges and difficulties with joy. Having joy in our hearts, we will be less affected by afflictions and worries, and we can keep our mind in a state of peace. The last of the 4 immeasurables to be nurtured is equanimity. What does this mean? We often talk about helping people unconditionally without asking for anything in return. We do this for people who are poor, in suffering, and in need. We help people who are strangers to us, and we feel grateful to them for giving us the opportunity to serve and nurture our compassion. But what about those who are close to us, such as our family members and our fellow volunteers? Perhaps sometimes we treat outsiders more nicely or with more courtesy than our family members or the fellow volunteers we work with. we need to learn to treat everyone equally. To give with equanimity is to give our love equally and impartially to all, whether they are the poor, the suffering, our loved ones, or our friends. As a bodhisattva, the spirit of the four immeasurables, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, is something we need to nurture in our heart every day of our life. If we can do this, we can bring this spirit to the people around us and create an environment full of love and understanding.
Hello everyone, my name is Elaine Lu. I'm from Taiwan. My favorite Jingxi aphorism is seize the present moment and make it everlasting. This teaching from Master Zhen Yan helps me to get through the most difficult time I spent with my mom at the end of her life. And because of this teaching, I remember to seize those every ever precious moment with my mom. And instead of focusing on the fact that I'm losing her, I try my best to remember and feel every moment I spend with her, the moment we talk, and the chance I still got to call her mother, and all those small details I cherish. It's because this Jingxi aphorism keeps reminding me to seize every moment that I'm living in. So I was able to get through this difficult time. And here, may wisdom and inspiration be with you always.
You are listening to The Power of the Heart on Da Radio.
The Self-Challenges of a Bodhisattva. Our special guest today is Miss Elaine Lu. In the recent year, she is an English volunteer at Tzu Chi, offering her English skill as simultaneous translator to help English-speaking guests or fellow volunteers at major events. Without her help, these English-speaking people will be like a fish out of the water at these events because everything is in Chinese. If you ever have an experience traveling to a foreign country where you cannot understand a word people are saying, you can read a word on any sign or document, you can speak a word to join the conversation going on around you, then you'll understand what these people are feeling. Then anyone who speaks their language is like the most beautiful sound they can ever hear. That is why translators are very important at our event for foreign guests and attendees. Besides volunteering, Elaine is a dedicated employee working for Taiwan External Trade Development Council, for Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs, and like to watch English movies and listen to English songs in her spare time. Welcome to the program, Elaine. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
To begin with, we'd like to find out from Elaine, why do you choose to volunteer?
I think volunteering is the best way to spend your time when you have free time. I mean, it gives me the sense of meaning to my life, and I like to know that I've actually have enough to give of myself to help people, because most of the time we constantly think that we need this and need that, but once you start giving of yourself to serve others in need, you realize actually we have enough to be able to do this. And in return, although it seems like you're giving, but then in return, it's actually the most benefiter is yourself. And you receive a lot of love and the energy that you realize that you are so blessed.
What a wise decision to be a volunteer, because you get more than what you give out. Now, why do you choose 慈济? What does 慈济 mean to you?
I joined 慈济because my mom was a 慈济commissioner, and she passed away 2 years ago. And because it's always been her major mission, and it's the course of her life, so she passed on this mission to me to carry on her path. And so I choose 慈济because I think it gives me the connection with her, and also I carry out these volunteers work because I made the commitment to Master Zhen Yan and my mom that I will carry on all these work to spread this great love to people. Because, well, I remember there's a line my mom used to tell me. She said, if I'm gone one day, please just love other people like you love me. Because I always love her so much, and it's actually, I feel like it's the very first time that I know what love really is, because I try my best to give her my love and my care, and I would figure out all the ways I could to make her feel happy during the time she was sick. So, and I remember that from her. So nowadays, although I'm carrying out these Tzu Chi work without her, but it always reminds me of her, because everything I do is her doing it as well. So I choose to Tzu Chi because of my mom.
Wow, that's very heartwarming, because your mom is in you. Everything you do, you carry your mom with you. So, in fact, you are actually doing double the work, your own work and your mom's work. And because you're doing Tzu Chi, your mom is always with you in everything you do. What's your most unforgettable memory?
The most unforgettable one must be the first time I volunteered to interpret for the Tzu Chi entrepreneurial camp, because although I was an English major, but I'm never a professional one. So for me to give it a first try, it took a lot of time and the self-confidence for me to actually carry the work. And I remember the first try I had at that camp was because a senior volunteer, she encouraged me to give it a try, because she said, if you don't give it a try, you never know. And even if you fall, you can always get back up. So you don't worry about anything. You just give it a try and then try your best. I'm always there to back up for you. So we got to see a lot of volunteers from Africa speaking all the different dialects and different languages. So in order for them to understand all the lectures carried out in Chinese, we had to translate it into English. And then because not all of the overseas volunteers could understand English, because some of them they only speak Zulu, those local languages. So it has to take second time translation for them to understand. So they had to assign their local volunteers to pick up our English translation and translate it into their own language. And seeing that, it really inspired me and gives me the confidence, because I realized that without all of the team and all our translator help, they wouldn't be able to understand a word that's said in Chinese. So this is my the most unforgettable experience in volunteering.
Indeed, not only do you learn English, you also
practice English in helping others. And that is just like being a bodhisattva. Not only do you learn Buddhism, you put Buddhism in action and you truly live this Buddhism spirit within you. And that is how you live your English. Indeed, being a Tzu Chi volunteer doesn't mean that you are a volunteer when you put on your uniform or when you are at Tzu Chi event. That means in body and in heart, you totally embrace these values of helping people in need. And you bring out the spirit whenever you see someone in need around you. Wow. Thank you very much, Elaine, for joining us today. We are out of time today. We will be listening to this book over the next several episodes. Please join us next time to continue our discussion on the power of the heart. If you want to read this book we're talking about, you can find a copy of this book in any Jingsi bookstore and cafe. For more reading, more teaching from Dharma Master Zhen Yan, please tune in next time to our program. Goodbye and have a great day.
Love's the language of our souls. Love's held in hearts, not hands alone. Love's our small wish for you to enjoy. We wish you forever peace and joy. Love walks tall while sharing smiles. Love's found in silent gratitude's eyes. Love's giving more than yesterday. Believing strong, brave and not afraid. Give love openly as the sun shines warm light on you and me across every distance. So show our love, dare to dance. Spread love readily, pave the long road ahead tenderly. Your soothing blessings heal all pain and suffering. Sharing smiles. Love's found in silent gratitude's eyes. Love's giving more than yesterday. Believing strong, brave and not afraid. Give love openly as the sun shines warm light on you and me across every distance. So show our love, dare to dance. Spread love readily, pave the long road ahead tenderly. Your soothing blessings heal all pain and suffering. Across every distance, so shall our love dare to dance. Spread love readily, pave the long road ahead tenderly. Your soothing blessings heal all pain and suffering. Your soothing blessings heal all pain and suffering. Your soothing blessings heal all pain and suffering. Your soothing blessings